Hey, what's up guys? It's your girl Kia and I'm back for another video. And today we are talking about the Valley, specifically a certain section of the Valley that airs on Bravo. So part 3 of the reunion aired last night and it was really a frustrating watch and very annoying. I actually catch it this morning because I have Peacock, and I'm really disturbed by Jasmine, Janet, and Jason, and we're gonna go through it. So if you're looking for a full review of the episode, that's not what this is. This is actually kind of a rebuke of the whole SA allegations that are being kind of levied at Danny by Janet, so more than Jasmine, which I think is what makes everybody really upset and frustrated, especially viewers of the show. I know it makes me very frustrated. So for those of you all who don't know, but if you're watching this, then you definitely know, Danny got drunk at a party for Halloween, probably a Halloween party, and was very grabby and touching on Melissa and Jasmine. They're engaged. They're a couple. They're both females. They're lesbians, and he was very grabby, touchy-feely with them, and they didn't like it, rightfully so. And he was making inappropriate jokes and just thinking he's being funny when he's intoxicated, and it just wasn't appropriate. It wasn't appropriate, not for anybody, not for, someone who's in a relationship, but it was somebody who's married. It was all the way around not a good thing. Everybody has acknowledged this. Apparently, Janet came to Nia before the season even started and talked to her about it, basically saying, if you feel uncomfortable about Danny and his drinking, please feel free to come to me, we can talk about it. And then the show starts filming and it turns into something a lot different. And we see throughout the season that Jasmine is trying to come to grips with how she feels about it and her relationship with Danny and her relationship with Danny and Nia, and Danny and Nia and Melissa, and like the whole, friend group. And I understand that. It's hard to wrap your mind around something that makes you very uncomfortable, and now you're around a man who made you feel uncomfortable while he's drinking, and now he's drinking in these additional scenes, and you don't know what's going to happen. I get her feeling of trepidation about being around them. The issue that everybody is having is the fact that Danny has apologized for this multiple times. In the reunion, Jasmine said that the first apology, felt like crap because he didn't really mean it. That's her feelings. I can see why she may think that. But then he came back with multiple apologies and multiple real true contrition about what had happened and what he did. The issue comes in is that Janet is the one who won't let it go, and seemed throughout the entire season to want to let people know that that Danny is this inappropriate person who just walks around grabbing women, and he's so inappropriate, and he's an alcoholic. And then she comes out with the SA term. And for a lot of people who watch the show, a lot of people who are on the cast were very offended by that. And I'm sorry, I'm offended by it too. And I will tell you why. We have a huge issue in this generation, and 2020 on, where we label everything these massive terms, these massive awful terms that people really can't recover from. For example, criticizing a black woman for wearing a bonnet because it looks tacky outside doesn't make you racist. He got handsy with a cast member where he thought he was being funny and having fun and being playful. That doesn't make him a sexual predator. And this video, I'm not monetized, so I don't care, but that's what it's being levied at him. The same thing happened to somebody like Aziz Ansari, when that whole article came out on babe.net, that whole thing that accused him of sexual assault. And when you read the article, you're like, wait a minute, that's not what this is. And Aziz Ansari hasn't really recovered since that happened. And that was a massive blow. We can't water down these terms because they mean something, and they have to continue to mean something so that when it happens, we can put these people on blast and say this and really go after them. Let's be clear. What Danny did wasn't appropriate. It was completely inappropriate. He shouldn't have done that. But I think he was trying to be playful and funny with two of his friends, thinking this is okay. Everybody will know I'm just joking, and everybody will know I don't mean any of this, but nobody knew that. The two women did not know that. And even if they did know that, doesn't make it okay. It still makes it inappropriate. But it doesn't stop Janet from throwing these terms out. And it really did seem like she was trying to either A, ruin his life, or B, trying to garner some case to get him arrested. You know, and she's married to Jason, who was a lawyer, who's a workman's comp lawyer, and had the nerve in the reunion to say, oh, well, I went to law school. Well, if you went to law school, then you, and like he said on the show, you would know saying that it was sexual assault. If a DA saw this, he would look at you and say, are you insane? Like, get out of my face. If you have an issue with this, go to Bravo. This would have been a perfect case for Jasmine to take it to Bravo and maybe qualify it as sexual harassment. She could have done something like that and said this was sexual harassment and she doesn't feel comfortable filming with Danny, and they could have taken Danny off the show. But the way Janet is trying to make it seem like he really is a sexual predator. She goes on to say that there are multiple instances of Danny being like this, but no one can give concrete evidence. She can't give concrete evidence. She can't give women's names. She can't give stories firsthand. She can't do anything but level these accusations, and these are major accusations. Let's be clear. If there were women who were claiming that they were sexual assaulted by Danny, they would have come out by now. They would have been in Nia's DMs or in Janet's DMs as the perfect person to drop all this information on and say, hey, this happened to me and I didn't like it. It made me uncomfortable. She tried to throw Brittany under the bus and say, well, Brittany had an uncomfortable moment with Danny, and her uncomfortable moment with Danny was Danny following her around on her birthday when he was intoxicated. So what? He's intoxicated, following you around, most likely because Brittany's a safe person to be around. I can be around Brittany. It's her birthday. And Brittany had to say, well, wait a minute. He was just acting weird. He wasn't doing anything inappropriate. And that's what made Nia get really upset. Like, see, this is what you're doing. You're leveling all these claims at him and at us, and you have no proof, and they're damaged. These things that Janet keeps perpetuating is damaging. And her husband, the lawyer, workman's comp, is sitting there acting like, well, why are you guys not making a big deal of it? Like, you guys should be saying something. Like, why are we letting him get away with it? Get away with what? Danny owned up to what he did. He apologized. He is on a show, allowing the show to paint him as this awful, horrible person when he could have just gotten off the show. He could have just gotten off the show and said, hey, I don't like the storyline that's kind of being portrayed. I don't like that everybody keeps talking about this. You know what? Maybe this isn't the show for me. I'm just not going to be on it anymore. But he didn't. He allowed this to keep going, almost like it's almost like self-flagellation at a certain point, because he's like, okay, I did this, I need to accept it, and it's fine. I don't understand what, I'll get to Jasmine in a second. I don't understand what Janet and Jason are looking for. And again, Jason being a lawyer, it makes it worse, because he's acting like the judge, jury, and executioner of something that did not happen to him, one. And two, you have a law degree to know that certain things you shouldn't say, you know. And they keep, Janet and Jason keep saying, well, that's a legal term. That's a legal term. Yes, technically, that is a legal term for sexual assault. But we all know there are levels to these things. We all know that. We all know when we think sexual assault, we are thinking a woman who was at a bar, who was being grabbed repeatedly, asked the man to stop, please don't touch me, I don't like this, and they continue to do it, laugh in their face. Or there's a power dynamic between the man and the woman. She works there, she has no chance to leave. Or we're just talking about full on, I'm not gonna say it, but full on. We know that's what that term means. And yes, there are a lot of different situations that fall under SA. If a man whipped out his penis in a kid's car line, that's a really weird reference, but it's just, I'm just thinking something crazy. That is sexual assault. It is. If men get caught peeing in public, it's also considered under that umbrella of sexual assault. A lot of things fall under that umbrella. And again, I'm going to say for the third time in this video, no one is saying what Danny did is wrong, but the way Jason and Janet are trying to portray it and acting like they did nothing wrong and like, oh my God, you guys are being ridiculous. He did this. I don't know why everybody's just letting him get away with it. And that's why everybody is so upset with her. I don't think there is a way for Janet to come back from this, to be on the show where people are going to have a positive relationship with her. And she's actually feeling this in the real world. She's had to shut off her social media. Her and Jason have had to shut off their social media. I'm almost 100% sure they're not being perceived well off the show when they go out in public, because Janet is she just seems like a really, really mean, inconsiderate, hateful person, you know? I could see if Danny was running around on the show saying, oh, Jasmine's being ridiculous. Like, what does Jasmine know? Jasmine's just making stuff up. Then Janet would maybe have the right to say, no, you did this to her. You need to own it. You need to fess up. But that's not what happened. Her anger is not matching the actual situation that's going on the show. So let's get to Jasmine. I am on Jasmine's side when she cried to Danny, because I get what people forget is that lesbian relationships are not taken seriously. They're not. And I can attest to this, and from my own personal experience, you know, my niece, who's only 17, she has a girlfriend, and I make comments to her, and I'm always just like, this is just a phase. Like, it's just a phase. She's your friend. And she's like, no, TT, I really do care about her, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, great. You'll probably change your mind when you get to college. And that's me not taking her relationship seriously. Now, that's even a bad example, because even if she was with a boy, I'd still be like, you're just 17, will you cut it out? But a lot of people don't take lesbian relationships seriously. They think it's just like some fun thing. So a lot of men, when they're friends with a lesbian couple, do make inappropriate jokes, comments, act inappropriately. Even people who are not friends with them, when they see a couple in the bar kissing, they want to be like, oh, well, you've never had a real man and this and that. That can be degrading. You know, for people to think that your relationship is just some fun thing to talk about, or just some joke, or like some party trick that you pull out of your hat when you want attention. And I think the same thing happens to gay men on the flip side. A lot of gay men, I feel like, are disrespected by straight white women, I'll say that, who will get undressed in front of a gay man and think, oh, he's gay, he doesn't care. That doesn't mean he wants to see you naked. Just because he's a gay man and is not attracted to you does not mean he wants to see your entire body nude. Or when they act like gay men are their accessories at a party. And then the second the gay man no longer serves them or makes them mad, now it's, oh, he just wants to be a woman. He's just jealous that he's not a woman like me, da-da-da-da. It's all disrespectful, and I feel like the LGBT community deals a lot with it. So Jasmine has a lot of internal stuff that she's dealing with, and then she has to deal with it from a friend. True, the friend didn't know, wasn't purposely trying to hurt her or disrespect her, but I get that feeling. Now my friend is acting like my relationship is a joke. He's thinking I'm okay with this because I'm not attracted to a man. There's probably a lot of emotions going through, and she has every right to want an apology and want it to be sincere. And she needs to, I hope in that dinner, the second dinner she had with Danny, that she really voiced this opinion. That she really voiced out, this is how I feel. This is how it makes me and Melissa feel. This is how people look at us, and I never thought you would make me look like that or make me feel like that. Now, in this reunion is where she messes up, because she gives way too much leeway to Jasmine's behavior. She gives way too much validation to to Jason and Janet's behavior, making it seem like, well, they're right, and they were on my side. She was way too quiet and whispering to Zach stuff she should have been saying out loud to Janet, saying, no, at first you were on my side, but then you took it too far. You started saying stuff that I didn't feel, I didn't like it, and you went way too far. And again, I understand on the boat, she was super seasick. You can see that it looked like she was about to burp, but when you hear she was seasick, oh, you were about to barf. You can see Melissa, her girlfriend, telling everybody, stop talking about us. This has gone way too far. You see that. But Jasmine's not saying, and again, I don't want to police how she feel or what she should say, but it was really weird watching her whisper to Zach the stuff that was wrong, the stuff that made her uncomfortable, the stuff that shouldn't have been said, and Janet went too far. And saying that to Zach, but not saying it out loud, and just saying, oh yeah, Janet, that is the right definition, and it is this, and it is that. It's like, girl, you made up with this man, and now you're skewering him. Oh, almost hit a squirrel. And now you're skewering him again on a national platform. I don't think Jasmine is good on the show. And if they are going to keep Jasmine, they need to bring, and this is going to sound crazy, they need to bring another black woman on the show, or at least a biracial woman, or another woman of color who's outwardly a woman of color. I know people keep saying Michelle's a woman of color, but she faces the world as a white woman. So that Jasmine can have someone to be supportive of her enough to speak up and say, if you have an issue with this, you need to tell Janet. you know? And she even backtracked on the conversation they had on the beach when her and when she was trying to talk to Jasmine about the stupid ring rumor. You know, she said that Janet has Karen energy and this and that. And, you know, she did embellish the story a little bit when she thought it back. But she should have stood on that, been like, yes, I was really over Janet. I was over the behavior. I didn't know why she was acting like this, but she didn't. It ends up being another situation where Janet gets validated. Jasmine apologizes for it when Jasmine didn't do anything wrong. Janet is not a good person. And I know some people are going to say, well, how can you say that? Like, you're just seeing what she puts out on the show. If you will put that out as your representative to be on a TV show, that's a massive problem. I feel like getting on reality TV your first season is like your first date with a man. You want to put your best foot forward. Your representative should be the best version of yourself facing that date, so that man wants a second date or that girl wants a second date. This is the first foot forward that she put out to the world, and it's not a good foot. It's not a good representation. And this is something that she's going to have to live with. And I don't think Nia and Danny are ever going to want to be friends with her. I wouldn't even want to be in her presence again. You know, I just don't, she just doesn't seem like a good person. And I think she really wanted to be on the show, and she got what she wanted. Now, did she get it? Is she represented the way she probably wants? I don't think so, but you're on the show. You're now famous for the absolute wrong reasons. And they're talking about next season bringing on Lala and Sheena. So Lala, Sheena, and Janet all together. And I'm not watching the show if it's a 3 of 3 of them. You know, I didn't watch Vanderpump Rules. I didn't watch Vanderpump Rules because of the people that was on there. It's like, it didn't seem authentic. The Valley actually seems authentic. But if now we're going to go into Sheena and her fake situation with her husband Brock, I guess he cheated and she wrote a book about it or something, I don't know. And then we're going into Lala and her whole, you know, reality TV is my job, I have to really play it up for the camera, along with Janet's delusion and Janet's viciousness. We're going to have another toxic show on Bravo that's going to get canceled after they bring these people on the show. So listen, I just want everybody to be mindful of how we are categorizing these major terms. It's like transphobic and racist, sexual assault, sexual predator. These are major terms that we don't want to dilute in our society because they mean something, and we want to make sure that they always carry the same weight. And we do definitely want to teach men, especially men in our lives who we know don't have ill intentions, like, hey, I didn't really like that. This is why I didn't like that. It made me uncomfortable. So they can actually say, oh crap, I didn't know that made you uncomfortable. I'm sorry, like Danny did. So that is my kind of thoughts on the situation. Drop that in my comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you feel differently. Let me know if it really made you uncomfortable watching the whole situation, or if I'm dead wrong and that, you know, you think something completely different and Janice is an amazing person. And we can get the conversation started. So I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.